Alright, welcome back for another video lesson. In this one, we're going to be covering Unit 14, Lesson 3, about Southern Cotton Kingdom. So, to start off, we're going to focus back on Eli Whitney for a moment. We talked about him back in Unit 11 with his invention of the cotton gin, an improvement on the de-seeding or removing seeds from cotton as it was picked in the cotton fields. So in Eli Whitney's cotton gin, this is a device that's making it easier to remove seeds from the cotton fiber. So they'd pour it on this side, the little grooves here would pull the seeds out, they'd fall down towards the bottom to be removed, and then the cotton fiber itself would be flipped over to the opposite side, completely de-seeded and therefore usable to be turned into cotton fiber to then be sent off to be manufactured into cloth and then clothing. So we're going then to machinery like this device here, where one person could go hundreds of pounds in a matter of moments, de-seeding cotton and therefore dramatically increasing productivity of cotton farmers. Then here, talking about new inventions, taking that idea of the cotton gin and applying it to a tractor in order to, again, increase productivity. So because of the cotton gin, there are three effects that happen from this. The first effect is an increased need for slave labor because of how much easier it has now become to pick cotton and de-seed it. It's going to make it extremely more valuable. So they want to actually get more slaves to try and pick more cotton because it's now faster to actually get the finished product. So they still need work on picking the cotton by hand, but since the cotton gin can dramatically decrease the time it takes to remove the seed, this need for more slave labor increases. Also, this productivity increase of cotton production is going to turn the South into focusing on one specific crop for producing, in that case, cotton. And so almost the entire economy of the South is going to be focused on the production of cotton. And then third, several farmers are going to begin abandoning other crops and specifically focusing on cotton production itself. That's where we're going to get this one crop economy of the southern states. So in Southern economy, prior to this, there was a wide range of crops that are being grown across the South. But again, because of the cotton gin, they changed their focus into only cotton. And again, before the cotton gin, very few factories were devoted of the production of cotton until this invention. Because again, now, as we saw before in Chapter 11, it's much, much easier to produce cotton due to this machine. So we see a shift here from the 1820 map of southern cotton production. Very few locations where there is great amount of cotton being produced. Then by 1860, a much wider range of cotton being produced all throughout the South. In fact, this region of the South becomes known as the Deep South due to its high focus on production of cotton, and it's also referred to as the Cotton Belt. Quick breakdown of the positives and the negatives of the cotton boom. Positives: one, growth of wealthy planters. Two, the South is going to become a major world trader of cotton. In fact, it's going to produce about 2/3 of all cotton within the world. This is going to then, again, develop this cotton trade that I just outlined a moment ago. The growth of cotton industries will develop because of this change in production, such as what we saw in Lesson 1, Lesson 2, and back in Unit 11. But the negative side, we saw this a moment ago, they're going to shift to just one crop only of producing of cotton. Well, what happens if cotton production doesn't go so well for a year or two? That's not going to help the economy in those times. 2, a greater need of slavery. This is going to expand the rationale of the southern planters of wanting more land for slavery because they need that slave labor to grow cotton, and they want more land to be able to grow cotton. So where are they going to look? They're going to look at going west. And 3rd, since the transatlantic slave trade was ended several decades ago, is going to increase an internal slave trade within the United States. Based on what we just talked about in regards to the South, focusing on now growing only of cotton. So why then would the South not build much industry prior to the Civil War? Well, 2 reasons. First, the South chose agriculture over manufacturing as its economy, which we saw, because agriculture was becoming extremely profitable. They were able to get very rich off of growing and trading of cotton. 2, Britain and the United States, the northern United States, has already been developing its industry for quite a while. So they're going to be able to produce products more cheaply than southern states would be able to because they have not chosen to build many factories. So they're a little bit behind the game. So that means for the southern states, they wouldn't be able to compete with the prices that which the northern states in Great Britain would be able to sell their finished products. So instead, they just choose to focus on cotton. They choose to develop cotton for the factory-focused northern states and Britain to produce the finished product with their machines. So here with this map of the United States, we have southern plantations growing cotton. As mentioned a moment ago, about 2/3 of the world cotton is going to be produced here. The North is going to provide about $30 million worth of food to the southern states. In addition, they're going to provide about $150 million worth of manufactured goods in exchange for their cotton to then be manufactured in those northern states. So that's that trade that the northern states and southern states will eventually establish.
Before you freak out on.
So here we can see cotton production between 1850 and 1860. It's going to double in price. And we saw a similar image of this before with using steamboats for transporting cotton from the southern states out to port cities and around the world. So let's say this steamboat has 2,000 pounds worth of cotton on it. Well, in 1850, that's going to be about $120,000 worth of cotton on that boat. We look at 1860 at 12 cents per pound. That's going to be about $240,000 worth of cotton being transported right here. So extremely profitable. However, in the South, there is some factory use going on. There's 2 factories in particular, the Tredegar Iron Works of Richmond, Virginia, and the Alabama Iron Works near Montgomery, Alabama. These were 2 key southern factories that are used in production of iron mostly. And later when we get towards the Civil War, these 2 factories are going to be very important in regards to manufacturing of weapons and ammunition for the Confederate States during that time period. So here, the Tredegar Iron Works, I apologize, this is the Alabama Iron Works here, 3rd largest factory in the United States as of 1860. A modern view of that factory. And here, now a museum, the Tredegar Iron Works of Richmond, Virginia. In this map, we're examining here factories, and again, textiles being factories, textile factories and other factories. If we look at this across the northern states, we see a lot of textile and other factories indicated up here with this key. Then across the south, very few. Here would be the Tredegar Ironworks, the one in Alabama that I mentioned, the two largest of them, and a few more scattered out across the, southern states. So very few southern factories compared to northern factories, because again, they chose to focus on the growth of cotton here in this green color. Then final comparison with the North and the South, talking about the railroads that were introduced earlier in Lesson 1 of Unit 14 here. You can see, according to this map, there is a lot of railroad built across the northern states by the 1860s in comparison to across the South. So transportation-wise, there is a greater need and usage of railroads in the northern states, not so much in the South, where the southern states typically still rely upon river navigation for transporting their goods from one place to another. So with that, that's the conclusion of the Unit 14 Lesson 3 video presentation. Again, in the assignment, you have a second video linked here about Cotton Kingdom that should help you better answer that question of describing Cotton Kingdom. I did a little bit here near the middle, and you have that video to help you with that. So thanks, and I'll see you next time.